see if it's gonna let me bring it up. I don't know. Oh, maybe I might be able to do it this way. Oh, this one? Okay. I honor all. I'm gonna turn this down a little bit because I feel like it's a little bit overpowering here. The hell is going on here? Bear with me. Trying to check something out. Okay. Okay. I honor all benevolent, sovereign beings, decent beings, good folks, okay, that happen to stumble across the video. This is dedicated to autistics, like my son. I have an adult, a differently able son. He is 31 years old. And I learned about his diagnosis. I started learning about it maybe by the age of 3, 4, when he was young. So I took classes, studied it, and was a part of um, his whole journey with being a part of the programs. And so finding out what was going on with him put me on this path of wanting to know, wanting to be a better parent, wanting to know everything that I could find out about it at an early age. Okay. And this is not a rant, but this is definitely truth speaking. Okay. Um, when you're someone who deals with this stuff up close and personal on a daily, in and out, not just as an 8 hour job, but when this is your life. Okay. It's you are put in a position to evaluate stuff that maybe the average Joe Schmo or others aren't. Right? Because as a parent, just like when you're a parent versus when you're not a parent, somebody that has had to raise children or has chosen to raise children is going to know a little bit more from a personal stance than maybe those who haven't. Okay. Not meant to be snarly, but I mean, that's almost anything, huh? Okay. So the thing about, just like when we talk about covert versus overt abuse. Many of you already know that I am somebody who has dealt with a lot of abuse, targeting my son and I, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So, just like I'm going to draw this parallel, mental and psychological abuse, abuse that you don't see a purple and black mark on a body, or physical, tangible evidence is not always taken very seriously and oftentimes brought into question whether or not it's even real or exist or matter. But it is still abuse and it is impacting and it does matter because it still affects the person, the being. Okay. Likewise, when you deal with the world of the differently abled community, okay, depending on where you're at, if you're in the US and what region of the US, and then if you're somewhere else or not. Well, typically there are all types of accommodations and services that are exclusively for them. Okay. If the disability or the differently abled ability, if it is physical, meaning amputation, something that is physically crippling for that person to be able to otherwise operate day to day the way the rest of us so-called normals are. Okay, then there's accommodations from the handicap sticker that you get from your doctor from the DMV, so that you don't have to be parked in the boondocks if you got on crutches, if you're on a wheelchair, if you got a bum knee, a bum back, crippled or something like that. Okay, to um, ADA accommodations if you are obese, or you can't lift your leg, or you, like, there are certain accommodations that may be made, or a certain amount of units that are specifically geared to accommodate someone in the wheelchair, to accommodate somebody who can't step up a step. Do they require a lower unit because they can't, or a ramp, or there's all of those things that's designed, okay, to accommodate. And if they don't have the accommodation, then it's like, then there is accommodations made to get them to the accommodation due to their disability. Okay. A lot of attention is given to it. Even when there isn't any accommodations, there's a lot of priority and a lot of attention given to that. So you all are looking at a screen that's talking about supporting autistics being able to feel safe in the world, being able to feel protected, learning about what they're dealing with in their sensory system here. So it says here, this is a thoughtful question. While biofield isn't a clinical term in mainstream autism research, is often used to describe a sense of personal energy, boundaries, or emotional spatial awareness. For an autistic adult, protecting this can mean, now this is where I'm going, managing sensory overload, social fatigue, sensory overload, social fatigue, emotional regulation, honor their sensory needs. So, case in point, I said something to you all that I went to the county office maybe 2 weeks ago regarding some things that we're dealing with the county office. I said how basically, since we are being targeted and we are being put in this whatever, this little bullshit ass torture program, surveil, whatever the fuck, okay, that people are being hired to do certain things, to basically do stuff to trigger my son and me. Okay. They're hired. They know what his wounds are, his triggers are. They know he's autistic. They are. Okay. So they hire people, ignorants, to those things, to bring in little kids hollering or walk back and forth. They know how he's been traumatized. They know his sensory, things like that. And they specifically, intentionally, the loud noises, the crowds, the crying babies. Okay. That's why I'm saying the autistics are not receiving that. The system is not supporting that. In fact, is exploiting that. And it's under plausible deniability because, once again, it's not like you go up to, someone were to go up to somebody and slap them across the head in broad daylight in public, this is not something that could be argued or debated. But somebody just seemingly needing to fight as soon as the autistic come outside, somebody seemingly needed to be stern and discipline their children suddenly. People, seemingly having an issue with them, or areas suddenly getting overly crowded as if there was some kind of magical cue for niggas and bitches to descend from the skies. Siren every 5 minutes, and it ain't no damn emergency nowhere. Noise, flashing lights. Motorcycles revving up. They take their meds. Because the people that they hire, they know. They may not know in totality, but they know that he's disabled. He's differently, but they know that. Ray Charles know that. They can have a third grade education and should fucking know. So because their differently ableness is not limping with a crutch, and this is not meant to be disrespectful or insensitive to those who are dealing with the physical. The point of this is to talk about how this population is not receiving the same level of care to make sure that they are comfortable, like those who are dealing with physical disabilities are getting the level of care to make sure that they are. They deal with sensory overload, and that's not to be taken lightly. Just because some of us out here don't have the ability to understand what that's like, that's overwhelmed, which could put them into what? Let's say they have other issues. Like, for example, my son has hypertension. See, the ignorance of this world is fascinating. So basically trying to provoke him to have a stroke, excess cortisol, because that's what stress does, activates what? Trying to cause him to have an autistic burnout while looking like they're just doing what they do, because that's what this is. People just doing what they do. They smoke cigarettes, they're loud and ghetto, they're driving all crazy, all sorts of noise, the street theater, they're just doing what they do, and there's nothing else available. There's nowhere else to. So I took him there, and the street theater was going on at the county office. Those are crowded places with a bunch of people with loud crying kids and babies, crowded rooms, in and out traffic, people being weird, people being extra. It's a lot, lights, just a lot of activity, and they have sensory issues. So in this case, I decided to inquire. Okay, but it's not something that's automatically given. I decided to get up and say, excuse me, is there somewhere that I can take my son to so he can, he's being triggered. They want that they want that Walmart gift card. They want that insatiable, unnatural passion of hatred to be sated. So they're basically trying to kill him. It says help him identify environments or situations that feel draining. Bright lights, crowds, noises, textures, low sensory. Not a bunch of bitches and niggas driving around being loud with their motorcycles, revving up, driving like I said, like they didn't take their damn Ritalin. Not cops and law enforcement people with a superiority complex and a thirst for hatred. Not some radical who, as spiritual as they claim to be, is oblivious to their own evil and grotesque ways. Social boundaries. So this is why, again, they keep trying to intrude on that because they do lack that social boundaries, and that's what they're exploiting in this case. And then when you seek to try to get the proper, when you're seeking maybe the solitude, the privacy, and all those things is looked at as a luxury. It's not a fucking luxury. It's just like somebody with a physical handicap. It's not a luxury. It's to do with their nervous system and their health. Okay, keep them in that bullshit. Have a stroke. Get your ass a fucking lawsuit. Too much social energy. So forcing them again, because you hear people talk about how they want them to advocate for them being out in the community. That's beautiful if that's what they want. People who claim to know about autism then should know this. Okay, too much social energy, role play, please don't touch me, people that stand too close, all of those things. Trying to teach them proper boundaries, helping them to recognize that, but an environment conducive. Now, hold on one second. Let me, what did I do? What did I do? Am I in the right spot? Okay, I gotta, hold on. Uh, wait, what did I do? Okay. Help them arrange a room. See, environment is everything. A space to decompress. That's not going to happen in a can of sardines. Build a predictable decompression space. Dimming lights, soft textures, minimum clutter, biofield reset after social overstimulating events. Protecting a biofield starts with honoring their unique nervous system, permission to say no. Oh shit, that's not what I wanted. Is that what I wanted? Okay. I thought I had one more other than that. Let's see. Clear boundaries, sensory needs, respect, autonomy, and shielding practices. Um, oh shit. Okay, I guess that's it. Okay. So this is not something to be looked at as, oh, this is just, that's not a necessity. That's not life or death. It's not life or death for a lot of the things that the physically disabled. It's not life or death, but it helps them to avoid maybe injury, and it makes things a lot more comfortable. That's not something that is the world is implementing with all of the beautiful programs. It's like, yeah, he can join a program and go to a place, for an example, but that's no different than what the segregation was back in the day. Well, the blacks, we need to do a better job with implementing this into the real world, everyday business things that happen, because things happen to them in their lives just like it happens to the so-called non-autistics, to where they are dealing with situations and circumstances, and within reason, of course, but that's just like everything else, within reason. Within reason. This is to do with their nervous system. These people have health needs and conditions just like people who don't have these diagnoses. But if they have a sensory issue, and then they're dealing with all these external environmental stressors on steroids because people don't think like it's a thing and it's serious and it shouldn't matter, and they stroke and they heart attack, it's gonna be an interesting time. They've been torturing my son his whole life. I know. I know about what they think I don't know about. Just like I know about as pertain to me, what they think I don't know about. I don't care. This is what the corruption have been doing. This is their science project, and on a disabled or the differently abled. That's the better way I like to put it. That's the cruelty, and they hire the ignorant. It's also an attempt to get to me. In this case, I'm sharing this just to bring thought provocation, to force people to see it and force people to look at it. They'll never not be able to anymore. But as it pertains to me and what they've been doing in this whole situation, it is majorly backfiring on all of them, because I see it all. I see straight through the plausible deniability, and I see what has been exploited about him and me. And I see the weasels that they used to do it. I see the game being played, but I'm going to approach this intelligently and practically, at least publicly. In terms of education, folks who end up seeing this is never going to not, I know it's like a double, triple negative, never going to not be able to, it's going to be there forever, stuck. Because we have all these closets, but we're not tending to this kind of stuff, then our closets ain't shit now. Or if it's a matter of picking and choosing, because that, once again, that's still that same negligent and discriminatory behavior either way. Because if we're picking and choosing, well, for my group of autistics, let me take a couple of pictures. Go on the website.
Keep recording, Mom.
But we can torture this one all day long. Nobody would know of it. We'll just say it's their disability.
Oops. Sorry.
It's okay. Or better still, we'll just say it's the mother or the father's fault. We'll figure out a way how to get that in there. So I am an advocate for my son, so I can come off as annoying, but I'm anything but that. I'm what a healthy, loving parent, no matter what the age, would be doing. I don't care if there is plausible deniability. I don't care how sophisticatedly they've been able to covertly disguise this bullshit. That's why I said the other day, the Americans with Disabilities Act my ass. That's exactly why I said that. Exactly. The only thing they want to do with his kind is institutionalize them. That's their go-to for every fucking thing. Medicate them and institutionalize them so that they can have further power and control over these people, pretending to not. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And listen, in all due respect, in all fairness, there are times where it may come to that in some of these cases. I'm not trying to imply that if that's the case, that that's all bad or that it should never absolutely not be done. I'm saying this case by case. The parent is the first expert, and I don't care who's involved. And I mean that. The parent is the first expert. And I'm saying the parent who has been a parent, not somebody who just had sex and squeezed them out their loins. They're the first expert, motherfucker, not somebody who sat and talked in 5 minutes. And the goal should be critiqued fashion towards the family. And if it's something that could be avoided, then that should be where all of the energy and resources go towards. Or putting them in other situations in which, depending on what they're dealing with, based on what I'm showing you all, if they are uncomfortable with strangers, with crowds, with all these different things, and then, oh, well, we're just gonna put them in a roommate with somebody else just like them, and no, no, you're not. When they're ready, it's a lot of honor that when I did this little research, is like try to, you know, that's on you try to honor them where you can with that. You don't just go, oh, well, you're disabled. Not in their damn body. That's what's wrong with humanity. The smart ignorance. This ignorant, man. Ignorant motherfuckers. I swear. You can't tell them shit. And they think they smell themselves. Can't tell them shit. Now, so I'm documenting everything now because a part of the game is this head for gaslighting. No, I didn't know. Oh, okay. Okay. Because when not every autistic maybe has been put into this program, but I know what's been done and I know who's behind it. Mm. He was out here sacrificing people's kids like this package of meat. A content creator say that I almost choked on something. I was like, did he say a package of meat on his video on his thing? I laughed because I was like, well, he ain't lying. I was like, that's kind of the vibration there, treating people, motherfuckers like they're a package of meat for these weirdos. Dehumanizing. But then they call their ass, nigga, please, bitch, please, say that shit, say it. Hey, Sky, I just was talking to the Lord. No, you wasn't. Just, no, oh, no, 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 you wasn't. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. You was talking something all right. Yeah. No, 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 and no again, and no, and nada, and no bueno, and no. I've been terrorizing because I was talking to the Lord and raise your hand for the court with the Bible, bitch. And I don't even know if they're still doing that. Lying asses. And she terrorized. We may go before who? Who are you? Who? And who is it? Who? Are they here? Mm. And then the targets are crazy. See that? Oh, I love this stuff. I love it. Because it's calling bullshit big time. Big time. Just flat out bullshit, 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 poking holes all over the place. But back to the topic. This is about the autistic community. Accommodation shouldn't just be at a special place called a special place for the autistics. It should be everywhere, just like we have incorporated any other disability in this country. Everywhere and everything, especially anything that's got government money on it. And the thing about, oh, here's another thing I want to add about their whole, the autistic community. Okay, so the parallel here. If someone is physically, and again, I hope to the physically differently able people out there, this is not an assault on you. I guarantee you this is not, okay? You have a legitimate, stuff. You should be receiving all of the support and services that you can, okay? So that's not what this is. I'm simply drawing a parallel. Okay? Okay. Now, with the physical, it's something that is obvious and you can plan it in it ahead of time, right? Case in point, let's say you're in a wheelchair. That's not something you gotta measure. It's this is the situation. And so you can get ahead of it. Businesses can get ahead of it. Everything can basically get ahead of it because it's not something that's weighing in the balances here. It's this person has blah, blah, blah. Now, when it comes to the autistics and the sensory, depending on the situation, some basic stuff, crowds, there's some things on a basic level, but every situation is different because it depends on the circumstances, surroundings, and environment. And then you won't know until you step into it. You won't know because it's like, what are the variables that were not present or clear in the discussion? Was it not clear that it was going to be on a loud street, on a public street where anybody can basically drive up and down, come up to windows, say, was that something that was made clear, understood? Maybe that wasn't clear. Is the space, crowded, tight, limited? Is the shower the size of their body? Like there's some stuff you're not going to know in advance. So the best that parents can do, caretakers can do, or even that autistic adult can do is the best they can. Once they get into those environments, then seek for the accommodation if possible based on what they find and what they experience. And then some will have the goddamn audacity. Okay, come back. Some would have the audacity to stake a claim like somebody is being entitled, as if they don't deserve, that them or their children or their situation don't deserve the same attempts to accommodate as somebody that's got a physical disability. Like they're just trying to be prima donnas and special. Because here's the thing, in this world, you're going to always have people who are trying to exploit the system. But just like, hell, people don't even know motherfucker be faking them to be in a wheelchair so they ass can get, not that somebody is doing that. I'm simply saying we don't know. Even if, listen, I'm going here just to, like I said, provoking thought. Just because there are folks in the world that's always trying to manipulate a system, that should not stop people from getting the services or the accommodations that they need, because there are 20 other hustlers that's always trying to figure out a way to get their way. Or, oh, because everybody, and they're, to hell with everybody. Just like accommodations are made for the physically disabled, the thought is not running through the head, if we allow this for this um ambulatory person, and then every ambulatory person is going to be asking for it, or everybody is going to, no, it's, this is the condition, which means in some cases this is also about, I want to say, rules being bent to accommodate, policies being bent, because rules, ordinances, and policies are there for a reason, and they're there to serve, but they're also meant to be broken, because not everything is going to fit in an ironclad, cookie cut it, streamlined, typical thing. What do you do with that when you're trying to be sure to attend to the community at large? What do you do with such case? It's almost like, I want to also say this. People have looked at my life, and I'm sure this happens for a lot of others. They've looked at my life and they looked at, and I don't know what's wrong with people. I'm shaking my head right now, because I'm like, I don't know how. Almost looking at it like I shouldn't. They look at this like a privilege. I've had to be a mother for a child for almost 32 years. I don't see how that's something that people are looking at to be coveted. They think there's some kind of a cakewalk. I'm a caretaker of him, which makes my life has limitations because of it. And these same people be wanting me to have it hard, and as a byproduct, wanting him to have it hard. That is not tending to this population properly. Also, when people have a personal issue with this population's parents, these are real issues. They don't like the parent, and so they don't want the parent to be comfortable. And so, since they don't want the parent to be comfortable, they're willing to let the differently able person be tortured, tormented, triggered, activated, overly stimulated. And these are world leaders. These are leaders. These are policymakers. These are people who stand before us talking moral order and all these things. I'm speaking these things to provoke. I understand that the system at large, the real issue is going to be there, like the bigger, but the more people start to come to truth and understanding, you start somewhere. So all these people that be randomly coming up to him having a problem and just, yeah. Because if you talk to him for 60 seconds, 120 seconds, you're going to know unless you retarded yourself. People's desire to see me upset and frustrated is so deeply ingrained in them to such an extent that they're willing to terrorize and torture my son. That's what's going on. Period. That they're willing to steal from him, that they're willing to block resources for him, that they're willing to pretend, motherfucker, like they don't got this, they ain't got that they ain't got this call, they ain't got that call. They willing to do all of that. I know they're playing in my energy right now too. Don't care. I'm gonna take care of some things in a minute, and it's gonna continue to do what it's been doing. Having voodoo priestess and shit in plain sight, hiding and doing shit in plain sight, looking like, let me get off that. I ain't gonna even share that. I'm gonna let them think I don't know about it. I'm gonna let it go. Yeah. Yeah, these are your businessmen, your businesswomen, your church leaders, people that's got fear God on t-shirts. Mm-hmm. People that talk God and Bible half of the 24-hour day period. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You talk about how they don't have religion, they have a relationship. These are the same people who are saying that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. These are the same people who give their people the hookup, operate in nepotism. These are the same people who operate with a conflict of interest, pretending to not. They may know you and your child and be friends with somebody who's got a problem with you. That is a conflict of interest. And to not disclose that is also lacking integrity. And it is also putting the differently able, such as my son, once again, putting them in vulnerable positions due to people's big swole heads. They swole heads in their greed. The torture is to try to force conformity that they're never going to get. And they're exploiting my son, thinking that's going to be their meal ticket, and they're in for a surprise. I don't have a problem with any form of healthy order, healthy structure that's honoring to me and my son. I don't have a problem with any of that. I never have. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with being friendly. I don't have a problem with, but I do have a problem if these things is going to be at the expense of me and my son. If it means we have to let go of our agency and autonomy and our individuality and uniqueness. I do have a problem with abuse being done because we are different. I have a problem with that. But I don't have a problem with adhering to things. I mean, I've done stuff. So let's just say I don't have a problem. I have a problem being violated. I have a problem with being punished for being different, while people can't manage to punish people that are deserving punishment at the same time. They can't punish thieves properly. They can't punish these killers. They can't punish these stalkers, people who are exploiting vulnerable populations. They can't punish themselves properly for exploiting vulnerable. I mean, I have a problem with that. But just simply, knowing what a rule is or a policy for a program or I don't have a problem with those types of things. I have a problem with hypocrisy, double standards, nepotism. I have a problem with vulnerable populations, it being okay to terrorize and torture people for other people to gain. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with folks like my son and myself or anybody who truly advocates for them being made to look like we're too sensitive, something's wrong with us because we don't want to have permission to be. We are expecting the same treatment and accommodations as everyone fucking walking around this motherfucker. People can't be out here talking about they honor his community if they're not honoring his community and if they're not honoring him. All that dead love shit. I love him. I'm thinking about, no, these motherfuckers aren't. Being willing to turn a blind eye to torturing his kind. Come on, man. No, they don't. Then trying to make it seem like it's something that's a failure on my part. Yeah, that's another level of sick. So, anyhow, what's the timestamp on here? 55:12. Okay, I'm going to get going here. But these are things that you all, okay, take a look see. Okay, take a look see. That's the thing about this type of differently abledness. There's no mark on the face, there's no disfiguration, there's no mark on the body, there's no loss of parts or limbs. And so, because of that, a lot of stuff just isn't taken seriously. They are even mocked or clowned. People wouldn't dare say anything rude about somebody with no legs. And the reason is because it's physical. and it would come off as mean and it would come off as insensitive. But likewise, for those that are like him. The folks in the systems that be feed off of pain and suffering, they know that I and many that are like me that may have differently able children are they're tough cookies. They know that. That's why their meal ticket, at least so they thought, was leaning into uh-huh. So if you're somebody that consider yourself an advocate for this community and you have resources, okay, Faith Evans, I hear that you have a differently able son that you had with Biggie Smalls. I heard that from the individual who referred me to where me and my son currently are. So if you happen to stumble across this is for you. My son is not receiving proper assistance. My son is being targeted, sacrificed due to the fact that I have a lot of haters. I have a lot of extreme radicals. I have a lot of relatives and a shit ton of others, including the very person who referred me here, that has a problem with who I am. That should have nothing to do with the fair treatment that my son deserves. This is a big problem. And if you are utilizing resources and you have programs, that's a beautiful thing. So maybe this is something that you can put on the table with your people if you all are, doing some legitimate stuff for this population. It shouldn't matter what somebody's socioeconomic status is or their social circle. And it shouldn't matter what their religious and philosophical beliefs are either. It shouldn't matter if they have issues with estranged family members, whatever the case. At the end of the day, this is what parenthood is all about. You put those bullshit things the fuck aside. You put your personal ego, your personal preferences, your personal favorite people, and all of those things when you are a healthy, loving, sincere parent. And that is who I am and what I am doing. I don't feel like I should have to defend myself about my beliefs because it shouldn't matter. But I am a good person and I haven't done anything, just like many others, just like me. And it was not a good idea for whoever these people are out here to play this game. I am not to be sacrificed, neither is my son. for no government, for no group, for nothing. We're not to be siphoned and harvested so that lazy, fat, cat, good for nothings can continue to be fake as fuck and make shit off of our energy. And if ever you sit down and you get raw and real with yourself, you will know any good parent will be doing the same thing that I'm doing.